actually ready yet. Hold on. Give me one. All right, welcome everybody. I'll call this meeting to order. You know, without Councilmember Brown here and without City Manager Dahl here, I feel like it's so quiet. So, must really be them. If you'd please stand with me and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Glover.
Here.
Gettle.
Here.
And Sperry.
Here.
Councilmember Brown is excused.
Thank you. All right, we're going to hear from Chief Thomas for the Unified Police Department report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I did put together our stat report, however, I didn't get the financial in as of yet, so I will wait till I get those and put those all in one and forward those on to the city manager and the mayor. Pulling the stats, though, we did receive 2,900 calls for service and did exactly 1,000 cases, so pretty busy month, but kind of average when you look at how our 5-year trend is. It's right in there with what we usually do. Citations, we wrote 72 warning citations and 395 penalty citations, so 467 traffic citations. I did note that our motel cases that we track on our monthly report increased to 212 police cases, so 20% of our police cases for the month were at our local motels. Generally, we're doing 125 to 150 cases. So we're seeing that increase. It's not necessarily, I'm trying to figure out why that is. I don't think it's because of our new directed enforcement sergeant, because he's not up and running that hot and heavy as of yet, but he's doing some great work. So we did lose one of our officers that quit UPD. He actually went and took a job with the state in law enforcement. Unfortunately, Officer Skaggs we literally just came off his year of probation and was one of our fine officers that actually received at the awards banquet, received a accommodation for his service. So we lost a good one. Harvest Days was an absolute success in my eyes, as well as the neighborhood watches prior, the Monday and Tuesday evenings out with the different communities. Had a lot of good comments, a lot of good food, had a really good time. Had a lot of people visiting our booth, giving us some really good comments. It was interesting. We actually had some of the crossing guards come there and try to recruit. And what I was told is they gave out 12 kind of packets to people that were interested in possibly becoming one of our crossing guards, which we definitely need. So fingers crossed. The mayor I think you, Mayor, did share our community academy information to the council. Recognize that there's a conflict because that is Tuesday evenings. However, if you can go on the evenings you're available, we're more than welcome to. However, the deadline is this Friday if you're interested. It's a lot of fun. You can kind of see by the schedule, and what I offered to the mayor is if he misses anything good, we'll take him up and give him a private tour, as we will you too if necessary. Wanted to mention that UPD will be involved with President Biden's visits tomorrow and through the following day. Our motor officers as well as our SWAT will be assisting with Salt Lake City and DPS to accommodate the presidential support. This Friday at our park up on Union Park, there's going to be the UPD Mutual Aid. It's a combined sheriff's office and UPD Mutual Aid organization. And what they do is through employee dues, they provide, if there's a hardship or anything like that to our employees, they'll look at some kind of way to help them out in crisis. You don't have to be a member to show. They specifically invited the mayor and council. All they ask is you RSVP and tell them chicken or steak. So it's a pretty good deal. And if you get a chance, let me know. I can make sure you're RSVP'd, or perhaps the mayor can, if you want to drop in, you're more than welcome. And then last thing I wanted to mention, and I won't probably leave it up to the mayor, but as you may or may not know, I'm the chair of the reorganization committee for UPD, looking at the future. And what we decided as we go through the painstaking reorganization is it'd be really great to have members of the UPD board sit and observe as we try to make the level of service equate to any kind of cuts in the budget. And it's painful, it's interesting, it's creative. I think for the first time in several months, we've actually made some progress to where the economy scale can work, and we're hoping that it'll be a success. But the mayor was in on it, and he heard some of the creativity, and there's a lot of crazy talk in there, but that's kind of where we need to be at right now. I don't have any more to report. If you have any questions for me or comments, I'd be glad to take them. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chief. All right, moving into public comments. Do we have any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing on the agenda tonight? If so, you may step forward to the microphone now and state your name for the record. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into reports. I feel like I have several things, but hopefully it's quick. Just as the chief said, Chief Mazarin invited me to sit in on a UPD reorganized meeting with different ranks and of the organization as part of that. It was really, I really appreciated the invite. I was there more as a fly on the wall, unless I was asked a specific question. But as the chief kind of alluded to, what I saw, I was happy with where it felt a little bit like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. But I thought that, I mean, that's kind of where we're at in this process of how do we get to something that is financially feasible for us, that still provides a great service. I really liked seeing, I felt like there was difference in thinking from many of the individuals in that room, and they all sternly but politely would call the other out when they said, no, I don't think that idea is going to work. But that was great for me to see. Just so you all are aware, he has not sent it out in any form yet, but Chief Mazarin did present a basic organizational chart at our last UPD board meeting last week. It was last week. Last week was long. I don't remember when it was, but yeah, last week. And so, again, they don't, because this is still such a draft, at this point, he doesn't want to send that out and get it into more hands than needed, or make officers more concerned than needed just because it's the first draft. But that is something that is in progress as they come out with this organizational chart. I think it's really important that we've gotten to that point as we continue to have conversations, especially with the sheriff's office, about the employees in UPD, the assets in UPD, as we're able to have, here's what a reformed organization looks like, then that means we have something to stand on as we have those negotiations. And so I think it's important that we're at that point. Again, not that won't change some of those details in that organizational chart, but I think it was really helpful for the entire board to kind of see this first draft and start to wrap our minds around this. Switching gears, just keep in mind, so in Sandy, they've had an E. coli outbreak because of children playing in irrigation water. So while we don't have much secondary water in Midvale that is pressurized from homes, we do have ditch and flood irrigation. So just a reminder to folks that are maybe looking to cool off in hot weather, be careful around that irrigation water and maybe don't play in it. It's National Pickleball Day. I meant to start with that just as I heard that on the news this morning that it was National Pickleball Day. So I just hope we all take a moment to celebrate. Go play some pickleball. Candidate filing has opened. So if anybody who's interested in running for Midvale City Council, candidate filing is open today until August 15th. And lastly, huge thank you to all of our staff who helped out at Harvest Days. I agree that it went really well. Felt like we had some things that we approved on from last year, still more improvements to make, but I feel like you could see that shift. We had staff that was there all day long, tons of hours put in leading up to it, and so just a huge thank you. I know it is an exhausting week, and then you come right back on Monday and just keep rolling with your regular job while planning events on top of it. So thank you for all of your work. And on September 5th, we are going to thank the Harvest Days Committee. They'll be invited here, and we'll do a thank you for them then. That's all I've got. Councilmember Robinson.
I too just wanted to say thanks to the Harvest Days Committee, all of the city staff, UPD, UFA, and as well as all of the volunteers that put a lot of hard work into Harvest Days. I too think it was a really good celebration, and I hope we just keep the ball moving forward on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Glover.
Just a few things. First of all, Harvest Days, thanks again to staff, and thanks again for all our city council that were there. It was great fun, and I enjoyed it. The block parties were very interesting and mostly positive on everything. I mean, I hardly got anything that wasn't. I did have one thing that came up over and over again that was negative, and not per se negative to the city, but most of the block parties I attended in my district were unhappy with 7200 South and how much crime is happening. That was their number one thing, is we need to stop the crime in 7200 South. So we need to be aware of that. And then the other thing that was really positive, is every block parties in my own district, and I went to several others, and almost everybody was really positive about getting a rec center and a swimming pool. I mean, their eyes would light up. It's like, yeah, really? You think we might be able to do this? So I think at least everybody that I talked to that comes out to the block parties were really excited about it. So again, thank you for Harvest Days and everybody that participated. That's it.
Councilmember Gettle.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to also say this was my 7th Harvest Days. I know there are plenty of people who have been here for a lot more than that, but it's hard for me to believe that I've been to 7 of them now already. But definitely, in my opinion, by far the best from beginning to end. It was just great. The parade was great. We got down off of the vehicle this year, and we're actually out shaking hands, kissing babies, giving candy away. Really seemed to like that. It seems like a better thing to do. I always found it a little bit odd to be throwing candy at people from atop a vehicle. It seems a little, can be a little uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you hit an unsuspecting child who is not looking. So that was a lot of fun. Hot, got a lot of sun, but that's not a bad thing. As far as the block parties go, same as Councilman Glover, most people were, had a lot of good things to say. People tend to be nice to you when you show up to their house for a party. But one thing that I found interesting that pretty much everyone had positive things to say about is the festival lighting that's proposed for Main Street. I saw like people's eyes lit up when I was explaining those plans to people. So I think tying into our workshop here tonight, the sooner we could get something like that going, the better. Because I think, we shouldn't necessarily wait until we have more events planned. That's something we could do now, and if you need help, I'll go out there myself. Other than that, I did want to just anyone who might be listening who is thinking about running for office, we have some great people here in City Hall who are happy to help with questions. We, the council, it might be awkward for us at points to, other than giving informational things, I just am impressed with our employees here at City Hall and how well they handle candidates coming in. And, you know, sometimes they might need some information to make a decision whether they want to run or not. And I know we're in very capable hands. Last thing, I will mention just the amount of work done by the Harvest Days Committee is incredible and very much appreciated, but also the city staff here at City Hall who volunteers their time as well. We thank you very much for that. Harvest Days, especially the events on Saturday, certainly couldn't be possible without that volunteer work. So thank you. Many of you are here in this room tonight. And thanks to the chief for keeping everything in order on Saturday. I don't think there were many skirmishes that broke out. And I've taken up my time, but I'm talking for Councilmember Brown as well, who's not here today. Thank you, Mayor.
Is that how this entire night's going to go?
Yes.
Great. Councilmember Sperry.
Again, thank you to all the city staff and other volunteers that helped with Harvest Days. It was great. I mean, the parade I thought was awesome. Even changing up vehicles, it seemed like at the end, but I liked it too, getting out, walking, handing out the candy. Probably shouldn't say this in this meeting, but I felt it was more dangerous than the other years because you know we just get busy handing out candy, and then like there was one time it was like, oh, I almost walked right in front of that fire truck. But you know, Paul mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, there may be people in the city that want to see a council member run over. I don't know. So, but it was a lot of fun, you know, getting out there and doing that. But lots of other things that happen with Harvest Days, and you know, so many of it behind the scenes that people don't get to see. So, thank you for all those people that dedicated so much time and you know, the effort to put into it, have it be successful, and you know, got comments that the fireworks were amazing too. So. It was great. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Nate.
Yeah, so I wish I had a big, long list of items that I could go over here and use some very verbose language and use up the time that's typically allotted. But I'm not. So the only thing, again, I guess from the city manager's office, just a huge thanks to the staff that was willing to go out there. I was out there most of the day and working with the different staff and with the different Harvest Committee members, and just the staff that was there were happy to be there and were willing to basically do anything that needed to be done. And I think that's what makes the events work. So very proud of the staff and their contributions to the community. The other item isn't really an item, but just following up on the comments that Councilman Gettle made, with some of those design things that we saw in the work session, just wanted to make sure that you're aware. We have talked about it, but that we did get a grant from the county to do the festival lightings on Main Street. We've set aside a matching amount, so it's close to $1 million that we have available right now. That RFP is going to go out, so that'll be, of how the street is phased, that will really be the first thing that we start seeing come online from these plans that we see. So we're excited about that. It's going to be street changing, and then we'll just continue to phase in all those other elements that we saw, and it'll do some amazing things for the street. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. We've just got one item, consider minutes of July 18th, 2023.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Sperry.
Aye.
Glover.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, we've got a public hearing tonight. Consider a final subdivision plot request for a property located at 847 West Center Street in the multifamily residential to medium high density RM25 zone to be split to 2 lots. Jonathan. Council, I don't know, Jonathan, this is your first time in front of the council to present. So he is our new planner too. So if you've not had the opportunity to meet him, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good luck.
We're friendly.
Okay, so this is just a final subdivision It's actually just south of here on Center Street, for a two-lot split along a party line of an existing duplex that's been recently built. And this is pretty much just allowing them to, rather than rent the property, sell them individually. And that's pretty much all that this really is. There's not been any public comment. I haven't taken any phone calls or emails about this project as of today, so that's where this is at.
Okay. Any clarifying questions from the council before we open the public
So
comment?
this doesn't impact the building that's there whatsoever? It doesn't like allow them to do any additional, okay? Because I saw that and was like, wait, this. it
Yeah,
already-
it's a
already
duplex.
exists.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
So they can sell it separate.
All right, I would ask for a motion to open up public comment.
Mayor, I move that we go into a public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, move into public comment. Do we have any public comments on this item today?
Mayor, I move that we close public comment.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any further council discussion before we move on to the action? All right, the action item is approve a final subdivision plat for property located at 847 West Center Street in the multifamily residential to medium high density RM25 zone.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final subdivision plat for a property located at 847 West Center Street to be split into two lots with the with the findings noted in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, we call roll.
Yes, Councilmember Glover,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Gettle,
Yes.
and Sperry.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thanks. You survived. All right, we've got several action items tonight. Item A, review and approval of resolution number 2023 R33, adopting the interlocal cooperation agreement between Salt Lake County Health Department and Midvale City for funding the creation of a Midvale City coalition and hiring of a coalition coordinator.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is something that Matt Dahl, the city manager, has been working on quite a bit with the county, just stepping in, so I could make some very high-level comments on this. And I think the mayor, if there's any in-depth questions, has a lot of insight into this program as well. But there has been, the coalition has been going on, and is formed and has been happening for a while now. This is a position funded by the county to help coordinate that coalition, help them put together some of the goals and the documents, and also coordinate some of the different memberships on there on achieving their goals, which is really around these youth incidents of substance use, abuse and violence. So some key points to this: it is a full-time position, initially paid for by the county. They will be a full-time employee of Midvale City, and Midvale City will be fully responsible for this employee in terms of hiring who we want, in terms of the interview process, in terms of managing the position day to day. This is a regular full-time employee, just like any other Midvale employee. It does have funding that comes from the county. Starts off in the first 3 years at $135,000, and in the last 2 years tapers off. One of the goals of the position is, as a grant writer, to not only write grants for the goals of the coalition, but also on how to fund their own position. There's a lot of programs out there that would help fund a position like that. So I don't feel like that would be a hard thing to do in terms of getting some funding ongoing to make this position a permanent position. Those are the high-level points that I have. If you have any questions, I could try to answer them, or the mayor could step in and provide any further detail on this.
Reading through this, does this mean in year 6, the funding would be nothing from the county, and then it would be entirely funded by Midvale City?
Yeah, Midvale City, or the grants that we hope that come online.
Okay. And just a clarifying question, as I work for the state, I know sometimes people see this, oh my God, we're paying this person $135,000. That would include their salary plus benefits.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
what we'd call a fully loaded position, salary benefits. And
Does it also take part of like the office space and stuff like we do with the other
Does it?
departments?
Yeah, okay, yeah, it does.
Calculated the full cost of the employee.
And what would our role and responsibility be in, hopefully we hire someone who's great and will stick with it and be here for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but in the scenario that doesn't work out and we hire someone who doesn't do that great of a job, what happens in that instance? Is it a contracted position for a number of years where we have to have somebody in that role, or is it just, okay, that didn't work out, we're just gonna wash our hands of this?
I think the intent, if something didn't work out, would be that you would rehire that you would continue to fill the position if.
But that would be our choice to do it, wouldn't be?
From my reading of the contract, that's the way that I read it, is that it would be our choice. We would be the one
Okay.
deciding how to do that.
That's the concern I had, just knowing how things tend to work, especially when it's one area of government coordinating with another area of government. Sometimes someone just gets in that position who's not incredibly effective, and one entity doesn't know whose responsibility it is
Yeah.
to
And it's
remedy that situation.
It's pretty laid out in the contract that the employee is reporting, so I wouldn't imagine that it would be, that the employee would be going through the same employee review process that we all go through, and then following exactly the same employee manual and handbook that we all are required to do. All of that would be applicable to this position.
And then because their duties are so very specific to things that, their supervisor here at Mid-Vale City might not necessarily have a great deal of expertise in, how does that
Yeah, I mean,
work its way out?
that's common with a lot of employees. I mean, supervisors can't know every position, but I think that, that there will be a lot of,
The county is heavily involved in this, so essentially this position will have, I guess the best way is probably to say a mentor with the county who's been doing this for a long time, running other coalitions. Her name's Amber. She came to one of the workshops, and so she'll be the one going through training with this individual. They'll go through a whole state training process as well to lead this coalition.
So then do they hire the person or do we hire the person?
we hire the person.
Okay.
And like the mayor said, that would be a mentorship, that wouldn't be a supervisor. We would still be supervised by city staff.
I love the idea. We've talked about having a healthy Mid-Vale was the working name that we had a committee for in the past. So I certainly love this idea. I do have just some concerns, as I said, knowing how government entities tend to work with each other. I could see that being tricky in the future, but I know that we have very capable folks working here at City Hall. But I would just want to make sure that employee, as part of their onboarding process, knows that they're an employee first and foremost of Mid-Vale City and not Salt Lake County.
Right.
Agreed. Any other further questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I moved to approve resolution number 2023-R33, a resolution adopting the interlocal cooperation agreement between Salt Lake County Health Department and Mid-Vale City for funding the creation of a Mid-Vale City coalition and the hiring of a coalition coordinator.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, we call roll.
Yes, Councilmember Robinson.
Aye.
Gettle.
Yes.
Sperry.
Aye.
And Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, item B, consider resolution number 2023-R34, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Wasatch Front Regional Council for a transportation master plan. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item, it's a resolution authorizing the mayor's signature to enter an agreement with Wasatch Front Regional Council, WFRC, for a transportation master plan. So the city was awarded a TLC grant for the preparation of this plan, and some of the scope, these are all in the scope, to evaluate existing conditions, evaluate future demand, create a street classification system, also an implementation plan, and then finally an impact fee facilities plan, which is an IFFP. This will be beneficial and key in helping us to create the impact fee analysis and then ultimate impact fees for new development, so we can continue to maintain and better maintain and build out this transportation system. Our required match is $51,000, which has been budgeted for this year. And this resolution, again, just authorizes the mayor's signature so we can enter into this agreement with WFRC. And then WFRC and the consulting firm, they have the agreement. The official agreement is between them. We are just signing on as that we are supportive of that, and we know of this. So as staff, we're excited to get this started. Again, this will be the first of its kind here in Midvale, and so I think this will really help out in the long run with our transportation needs.
Okay. Comments, questions for Adam? See, actually, I have one. Will this look at, and sorry if this was just there, our parking throughout the city?
Doesn't necessarily look at parking, although there will be elements of parking in it, but this is not focused solely on parking. Where parking may be looked at is, are there certain classifications of streets that would allow on-street parking versus not allowing it? But it wouldn't be a parking study per se.
Thank you. All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution number 2023-R34, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Wasatch Front Regional Council for the Transportation Master Plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, we call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Gettle,
Yes.
Sperry,
Aye.
Glover,
Aye.
and Robinson.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, item C, consideration and approval of an amendment to resolution number 2023-R32, changing the election canvass date to December 6, 2023. Nate.
Right, there's another one where I'm stepping in for Matt, but I have had a lot to do with the bonds. This is the perfect item for me to see how good I could do a Matt and see how long I could make this item actually go. But the truth is, all you're doing is changing the date from December 5th to December 6th, and not even adopting a new resolution. So this is just amending the resolution that was passed on July 18th to reflect the correct canvassing date.
Just a reminder, this just deals with our weird election date removal and when those votes will be, when it will be finalized. Any questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we amend section 11 of resolution number 2023-R-32, changing the election canvass date from December 5th, 2023 to December 6th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Sperry,
Aye.
Glover,
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. Just one discussion item, discussion of task order number 14149-100 with Hanson Allen and, is that Luce? I feel like I've maybe asked this before, for the design and construction management services for Series 2023 bond projects. Keith.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you tonight. As the Mayor said, this concerns a task order with Hanson Allen and Luce, our water consultants, to do the design and construction management work of several projects. Back in 2020, we had our water master plan updated. As part of that master plan, I came up with a list of several projects. They are lined out on table 6.1 of the master plan, which I have included with your packet, along with the map showing the location of those projects. After discussion among staff and the consultant, we were looking or chose several to do. Those projects are identified as number 9 through 21 on that list for a total of about $5.2 million. We are currently in the process of going through the bond process for the Series 2023 bond. Portion of that bond will be earmarked for these projects. Task order we received from Hanson Allen Luce is for roughly $400,000. $163,900 of that is for the design of these projects, and $235,500 is for construction management of these projects. Again, this money will be part of the bond proceeds that we get. We anticipate going through the design and bidding process this fall and winter, having these projects out to bid fairly early in next year so we can get some good prices with the contractors before they get their schedule full. Right now, we're looking at possibly breaking these into 2 separate projects. There is one, project number 21, which is a realignment of our transmission line from behind the Realodyne Cardwell facility out into State Street and bringing it down and tying back in at 80th South. We believe that's a big enough project to be a standalone project. The other ones will combine into another, a separate project. So this task order has been reviewed by our procurement officer and our city attorney. And so I'm here discussing that with you tonight. In next 2 weeks, I guess, at your next meeting, I will have a resolution for your consideration and action. Any questions for me on this?
Is there an estimated time of when these projects are to be completed?
I know the bond requires that we have 3 years to spend the bond. We're hoping that, again, we can get these designed and out to bid, and by next summer be under construction, or even early next spring.
It's a lot of projects in a short amount of time. How fun. Okay. It'll be good to have this in place, but.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have a closed session tonight, but we still have an RDA meeting. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn our council meeting before we go into RDA.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you. All right, now we go into RDA. Welcome, everybody. 7:44 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Board Member Robinson. Here. Glover.
Here.
Gettle.
Here.
And Sperry.
Here, I was running a little late. We usually don't start this early, so, sorry.
Board Member Brown is excused.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into public comments. If there's any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing on the agenda may address the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City Board at this point by stepping to the microphone and giving their name for the record. Do we have any public comments? Come on up. And then just please state your name for the record.
My name's Jack Frost. I'm a resident of Midvale. I'm a local business owner. I have a hardwood flooring company that I run out of Murray City with my business partner. I think there's a homeless problem in our city. I don't know if you guys live here or just work here, but my truck got stolen. The cops did nothing about it. I ended up getting it back. My truck has been broken in 2 more times on top of that. I had a guy in my backyard that dropped his wallet and burglar tools, and the Unified Police didn't even want to get out of the car to collect the wallet from me. I had a homeless man sleeping in the tree next to my house, and the cops were like, it's okay, he can sleep there. And that's not okay. My family My daughter, that's 3, and my wife are there home alone all day while I'm at work. Like, this is not okay for me in this city. Houses here cost $450,000 to buy a house, and we have homeless everywhere. I've seen 2 penises, sorry ladies, 2 penises driving to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I've handed out trash bags so they can pick up trash on 215 and State Street, right where you get off in Midvale. And I can't deal with this. Like, why would I stay in this city?
Thank you. Would you mind, are you comfortable saying more specifically where you live?
Sure. I live on 6790 South, 126 East.
So not too far from East Midvale.
Yeah.
And just so you know, not all staff live in Midvale, but myself, all our council members, we all do live here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
just so
All right.
you know.
So you guys see it. All right. Do you guys have an action plan to take care of that?
So we have, there's several things that we are working on. I mean, one is, part of the, we have shelter officers, specifically police officers who are trained to work with those in homelessness. I'm sorry that's the experience you've had.
Yeah.
Chief, I don't know if you're able to chat with him for a second on the way out, but also if you're seeing an issue, you can also always contact me as well. I can give you a card if you'd like. And
I would
and
love
that's
one.
something that I feel like generally our officers are pretty quickly on top of, since we do have a handful of them who are specifically trained for that. We have other programs in place as well that, again, offline I'd be happy to talk to you about more, but I'm sorry that's been your experience. But it is something that I think Midvale would say we've seen an increase in like folks coming into the city where we're kind of don't know where they're coming from. I will say all the other mayors I interact with also express that they are seeing the same, that we're seeing kind of an uptick across the board. In Midvale, having a homeless shelter here, we have the family shelter, having other services, we probably do see more than some of our surrounding communities just because we have more resources. So that does mean it's more of a challenge for us. But again, something that we are working to address. We know that there's more to be done, and as you see things, we'd love to know so we can be on top of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, first of all, Jack, thanks for your comments. And I just look at it perspective, right? Because as council members, we all got 2 letters, I think, that both deal with homelessness, and their perspectives on the letters were different, saying the police harass the homeless too much. So cut back the police. So, there's opinions on both sides, and it's a difficult issue to deal with.
Thank you, Quinn. I think it's spot on that this is a challenging one where we simultaneously aren't doing enough, yet too much. Right. So. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I need to wait for Councilmember Robinson? We'll wait a second.
Where did she go? There she is. She was literally hidden.
Okay, just our consent agenda item is consider minutes of June 20th, 2023.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on that? Rory, we call roll?
Yes, Board Member Gettle,
Yes.
Glover,
Aye.
Asperry,
Aye.
and Robinson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, that passes. Just one action item tonight, consider resolution number 2023-10 RDA approving a service agreement between the redevelopment agency of Midvale City and NeighborWorks Salt Lake to administer housing programs. Maggie.
All right, hello, Mayor, council members. It's good to be here again. If you can, you probably remember back in December, I brought before you 2 housing programs, the down payment assistance and the home repair loan program, which was the board passed. With that, we were able to release an RFP to seek qualified candidates to administer those programs and also refine them. And on June 27th, 2023, a selection committee comprised of RDA and community development staff selected NeighborWorks Salt Lake to administer the programs through that RFP process. And as you may remember, there's more, there are quite a few steps to getting these programs rolling and approved. And so looking ahead, once the agreement is approved by you all, NeighborWorks will then look at those programs with a little bit more detail and refine them using with their expertise. And I'll be bringing those refined programs, if there's any changes they think should be made, back to you all for approval again in October, or at the end of September. And then in October, they're ready to launch both the home repair loan program and the DPA program. In fact, when I spoke with them over the phone last week, they said there are already Midvale residents and some of their staff who are having discussions about these programs coming online. So we already have people here who are interested in them, which is very exciting. So NeighborWorks Salt Lake has been rebuilding neighborhoods since 1977. Their vision is strengthening communities through neighborhood empowerment and collaboration. And their mission is to partner with residents, government, and businesses to create neighborhoods of choice by providing opportunity for housing, residents, and youth leadership, financial education, and economic development. So their areas of expertise are learning, lending, and community. And as you can see, they have a long list of programs. 2 of these programs we'll be working with them on, but what we love about this list of programming is that it shows that we can continue to grow our relationship with them and maybe expand some of these programs into Midvale City in the future. It was also brought up the last time I brought these programs before you all. It is important that we contract with someone who has experience working with non-English speaking residents. They have 3 decades of experience with this, and they also have access to volunteers and translators with various languages. And this is just a list of the other cities who work with them, and I've talked to them about their experience working with NeighborWorks, and it's very positive. So really quickly, the DPA and HRLP program administration is $12,500 annually, and this also includes the refinement of the program that's going to happen over the next couple weeks. And then there's loan servicing fees and grant processing fees. So the maximum cost would be around $54,000 a year. But I have to tell you, that's only if everyone gets a loan. There's lots of grant opportunities with these programs, and that's a grant processing fee is only $500 as opposed to around $1,600 per loan. So this is worst case scenario, everyone gets loans, but I anticipate that not being the case. I also wanted to mention that we were awarded $100,000 by Salt Lake County through CBDG funds to support this program. That includes administrative costs and the home repair loan grants. And yeah, let me know if you have any additional questions.
What's our staff's responsibility?
So we are monitoring the agreement. So we would make sure that they give us I think it's quarterly reports. And we would also be processing the invoices as they come in for the loans. In addition to that, the agreement also lays out a plan to collaborate with our communications team to make sure that NeighborWorks and Midvale and the redevelopment agency in Midvale City is getting the word out and doing outreach and making sure we have a good marketing plan in collaboration with NeighborWorks.
Thank you.
I have a question. To quote one of the best comic books ever, who watches The Watchmen on this one? In other words, how do we know that, these programs are being, the money is being distributed in a way that's fair and equal to all applicants? I mean, I know the organization you said has worked with other cities, the other cities have liked them. I'm assuming that doesn't mean there's never once been a single problem identified with them. So how do we know, or how are we going to know that those programs are being administered properly, fairly, and as equitably as possible?
Yeah, I think the CDBG funds adds a layer of security for us. There are certain requirements that each applicant is required to fall within, 80% AMI, and certain other financial requirements. And those have to be reported to us quarterly, and then we, at the end of the year, report it to the CDBG folks. In addition to that, we are ensuring that the programs that we have laid out right now, the qualifications are pretty strict, and they're going to work with us in these next few weeks to even refine those even better. And it will include a flow chart that shows, someone applies for the grant and the process by which NeighborWorks puts those applications through to make sure that, the people that qualify and need it the most are getting that funding. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm most concerned about someone who, for one reason or another, has been denied a grant or a loan for one reason or another. In the private sector, if that happens to you, there are laws that protect you that say you have to be given written notification why you weren't eligible for that grant or loan process. So I'm just hoping, and I'm sure that they might already have something like that in place.
Sorry, can I pop in on this?
Yes, I know you're an expert on
I've actually worked with these guys
this.
professionally before.
Okay.
Great.
I can say that each application is handled the same exact way. And as soon as you enter the application process as a borrower looking to get the grant funds, you have to certify these certain things, and then your lender has to certify the certain things. So there's two checks and balances there for if you're able to apply or not. And then as far as their declination process, it's fast. Right away, and they tell you exactly why. And typically most people that can't meet it, they actually know as soon as they hit the application process why. So, just so you know, I just wanted to.
Thank you for that.
Neighborhood Works does a great job at what they do, and they really do strive to make sure that more people are achieving home ownership.
Okay. Well, if Councilmember Robinson is not worried about it, then I'm not worried about it. I just, as you may know from earlier tonight, I have some issues with government-y things. And this seemed like it could get government-y for me, but it's got the Councilmember Robinson seal of approval. It's good enough for me.
Maggie, when do we expect to see this program up and running?
Oh, thank you for asking. The 1st of October.
Great. It's a perfect birthday gift for me.
Oh, great.
Just what you asked for.
When's your
Just
birthday?
what I'm asking
What day?
for. I'm not going to say that. We don't need to get that far into it. Any other comments or questions for Maggie? Okay, entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we pass resolution number 2023-10 RDA approving a service agreement between the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City and NeighborWorks Salt Lake to administer housing programs.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Rory, we call roll.
Yes, Board Member Glover.
Aye.
Sperry.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Great. I'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you.
Passes. Thank you. All right, that is the end.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.